Hi, everyone. So glad you're here. If you can say hi or that you can hear me, please do so in the comments. Today, I am excited to cook a recipe that's very easy. It may take a little bit of time, but it's not like super time consuming. It's like hands-on time. It's not so bad. So it's buffalo cauliflower. I really like this recipe, and I thought of it because we have Super Bowl coming. Then I think this is a pretty good recipe for like an appetizer, or just put it out there. I've made it before for parties. It went really well at parties. Anyway, so I think we should just go ahead and get into it. Okay, so cauliflower. I just washed it. I always wash my fruits and vegetables before I eat them or cook them, and I think it's common sense. And so I'll show you how I like to cut cauliflower for this recipe. Here, okay, here we go. So you see that there is this stalk. Sometimes the stalks come a little longer, sometimes not. Here. This one has a little long stalk, so I'll trim it down a little bit, and I'm gonna put it like face up, bottom down, and now I'm gonna cut it into quarters, straight through. Okay, now what do you see? You see what we have? We have these big thingies. Now it's really easy to cut the florets off by just, trimming out this central part. Now we've got a bunch of florets. I'll do that with each of them, and then we'll make the cauliflower florets a little smaller too. So this, I'm sorry, something's up in my voice. So we can either leave them a little bigger and longer, or to make them like wings, or we can make them smaller to make cauliflower bites. I personally prefer bites because I think they're very versatile. We can put them in anything. We can put them in tacos if we want, or like at a party. That's the perfect size, when they're smaller. Something like this, just a single bite, dip in ranch, and then you eat it. By the way, we'll cook ranch too. Okay, so now we have this. By the way, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn on the oven. Okay. Now, if you were on my site earlier looking at this recipe, and I know that some people have printed it out, you probably saw that I recommend the oven to be at 425. Here's the deal. My oven right now, we've only lived in this house for about 2 or 3 months. So this oven, I got it, like we moved in here after I published this recipe. So this oven runs a little bit hot, and I've burned some things before, and it wasn't that much fun. So I'm just setting it for 400. But for you, if you know that your oven, does what it's supposed to be, like if you, let's say, like cookie recipe says bake 12 minutes and they come out perfect in 12 minutes, and that means it's fine. If in 12 minutes they come out overcooked, then it's probably running a little hot. Anyway, so we're gonna let it preheat, and I'm gonna switch the cameras again. Okay, so now we're gonna just try to cut them into smaller pieces, aiming for like about same size. Right, maybe they're not exactly. This one's a little bigger, but like bite-sized pieces, something like that. All right. You can also just break it with your hands if you don't want to use a knife. That's fine. Or you can use a paring knife. All right, some pieces are just come out smaller, but it's okay. We can still use them. Okay, so let's just do this. So once we are done with cauliflower, once we put it in the oven, I'm going to show you how to make a very easy buffalo sauce, and we'll also make vegan ranch. Yeah, because I think it's buffalo things are, you have to have either ranch or blue cheese, something like that. Otherwise, it's just not as good. All righty. Oh, and I'm also going to do something new that I've never done before with this recipe. I mean, it's a perfect time during a live stream to try something new, right? If it's a failure, then you fall on your face. But anyway, so when I dip this cauliflower into the batter that we'll make, the coating batter, I'm going to put it on a cookie sheet, not cookie sheet, but the cookie cooling rack. And I'm going to let the extras drip before putting them on the tray for baking. This way, this batter will be quite liquidy because it's made with brown rice flour. Brown rice obviously doesn't have gluten in it, and that's why the batter doesn't thicken after you make it. And the batter will be very simple. It's just water and brown rice flour. Yeah, so because it's going to be so thin, we are going to let it drip a little bit more. Otherwise, we can put it on a parchment lined baking sheet, and then it's just gonna keep dripping, and it'll be like a pool of batter. So we're gonna try how this thing works with the cookie sheet. All right, almost done. By the way, if you saw the recipe on my site, if you're following along, then it says about 6 cups of cauliflower. I'm not going to measure right now, but 6 cups are about like standard, like not huge cauliflower, but not tiny either. Just like something that usually, that you can get at the stores. Almost there. Almost there. I know it's a little boring, but I should probably show you what I'm doing, right? Okay, switch cameras. All right, almost there. So next up, we will be making our batter. And it's very simple. Usually I make batter first in this big bowl while it's still empty, and then cut cauliflower and just throw it in and then toss it together. But this time I forgot. So it's no big deal. We're going to make it the batter separately and then pour it and toss it all together. Okay. So I don't think we're going to need our cutting board anymore. So we're going to remove it. Alrighty, so we have about this much cauliflower. It's a good amount. Yeah, definitely. Like you can eat it by itself or put it in tacos or burrito. You probably noticed that I like to put a lot of things in tacos and burritos. But I mean, what's not to love, right, about those? So I'm going to use just a big standard Pyrex measuring cup. And I'm just going to go ahead, pour in some brown rice flour. Here we go. Why I'm using brown rice flour is because, like I said earlier, regular flour, wheat flour, has gluten in it, and so it becomes too thick. I just think that I mean, it's fine flavor wise, but I like the batter, like that batter coating, be really thin, just enough to get to collect that, hold the hot sauce, but not so thick that all you can taste is batter. So that's why I'm using brown rice flour. If you don't have it, I understand. Like, it's not something we just have in our store, in our pantries. Probably I got this one at Whole Foods, but any well-stocked grocery store, or uh, Joe's will probably have it. Or if you have like a health food store in your town, then they'll probably have it. Yeah. So this is a big bag, 24 ounces. It'll probably last me forever. Anyway, so I'm pouring it into my measuring cup. I'm going to measure out 1 cup of it. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, so it's next. We can pour the water. We need 1 cup of water, and this big cup holds 2 cups. That's exactly what we need. But it's probably, I don't know. Let's try. Let's try if we can whisk it all in this, and this way, 1 less dish to wash later. My water. Okay, pouring in water. Now, let me get a fork to whisk it all together. It's quite lumpy, but it will be okay. So, a lot of buffalo cauliflower recipes out there call for other things to be added to the batter, like spices and seasonings, and you totally can do that. What would work well, like some garlic and onion powder, salt and pepper. You can do that if you want. If you want for color, you can add a little bit of turmeric or paprika. But I'm not doing this here because I want a really simple recipe. Plus, once we coat everything in the buffalo sauce, it will all taste like buffalo sauce anyway. So we're giving up some spices for the sake of simplicity, but I don't think we're going to give up on flavor that much. Anyway, I think my batter is just fine now. It's all pretty uniform. So I'm going to pour it right over this cauliflower. And there we go. There's some really thick stuff on the bottom. That's okay. I think this is a little bit thicker than I usually try to be. But we'll see. We're going to start just tossing it all together. And we'll see. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but I am definitely seeing that the bits of cauliflower are getting coated nice and well. Here, I don't know if you can see, it's just kind of glistening, sort of. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. So I'm doing this for a little bit just to get it all in all the nooks and crannies. But if there are some bits that don't get coated very well, that's no big deal. That's fine. All right, now I'm going to try my big experiment. I've got my cooling tray. I'm putting it in here because, it's going to drip. So that's going to catch all those drips. Like, I don't want them to be all over my table, obviously. Okay, let's see. And it's possible that maybe we won't, let me move this. Maybe we will have to do this twice. Maybe this will be too much cauliflower. Maybe not. We'll see. Oh, yep. So the recipe on my site, I linked it up below. If you haven't seen it yet, if you want to, you can print it out actually, for your own reference. If you want to make this again, but don't want to rewatch the whole video. Okay, so spreading it out a little bit. And yeah, I'm definitely seeing that there is some, let's see, there's some, see this stuff dripping off. That's fine. That's no big deal. That's what we want, right? We don't want to have like a puddle of breading, liquid breading in there. What's going to happen if it's sitting in a puddle of breading, it's going to, the cauliflower pieces are going to steam instead of roasting, and it's just not going to be as like tasty in my opinion. Like the best piece of cauliflower would be like nicely, slightly charred around the edges, but still tender inside. So if we keep the amount of batter that it's all floating in to the minimum, I think this will work out better. Anyway, we are going to put all of this on my parchment lined baking sheet. I'm going to move my camera here and switch the screens. All right. Oops, sorry. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to just transfer it on here. And it looks pretty dry, but I'm not concerned. We've got just enough brown rice flour on it to hold on to that buffalo sauce that we'll be putting on there later. Come on. Okay, just this is faster. Okay. And my oven has preheated already. By the way, I gotta check my comments to see if there are any comments I need to respond to. This technology, oh yeah, okay. James is saying, this technology baffles me. Well, no worries. Thank you, James. Thank you. I feel kind of embarrassed, but thank you. Okay, now we'll spread it all out. As much as we can. Yeah, if I use the wider piece of parchment, I'll probably utilize some more of that area too. All right, so just, try to get them, not to touch each other too much, so that everything is in a single layer and so that it all roasts instead of baking. So I'm going to put this in and set the timer for 15 minutes, and then we'll check. Like I said, my oven is hot, running hot. So I'll show you what it looks like in here. Yeah, just a standard issue oven. And my timer for 15 minutes. Okay, all right, good. So next up, we are going to make the buffalo sauce. And it's a really simple process. It's like there are recipes online where you can make everything from scratch, but if there is a way to do things easier than harder, then I'm all for doing things easier. So I'm just going for the real MVP here, the Red Hot Frank's original sauce. It's got to be original and not, they have like a wing sauce or something like that. That I believe has something non-vegan in it. Maybe it's like butter or whatever. But this one is just plain peppers and vinegar and salt and garlic powder. Okay. So how much are we using? I forget. Let me check my notes. So we're gonna do half a cup of Frank's, and then 2 tablespoons of either melted butter or neutral oil or aquafaba. Another option, what we could do, I've done this before, is use, like on top of Frank's, use a couple tablespoons of yogurt, unsweetened plain yogurt, like the one I showed you in the like last week. I'll show you. Yeah, so this is Forager unsweetened plain. Last week I showed you one that was from Trader Joe, but they taste identical. So it has to be unsweetened and plain. So when you taste it, it's the tartness rather than, any kind of sweetness, because, you don't want sweet sauce. Although, yeah, there are some sweet sauces. So, yeah. But I'm just going to go ahead and use oil, okay? So I'll pour my buffalo sauce in the measuring cup. Here's the measuring cup, and I'm just gonna measure out half a cup. There we are. Good. And the oil, I'm gonna go for the avocado oil, the one that I showed you before. It's high heat, so that means that if it gets really, really hot, then it's not going to start smoking like other oils. Like olive oil will start smoking, I think, at 400 degrees, but this one can last up to 500. So it's going to be really hot when we put all of this in the oven later. So I'm just going to use this. Plus it's neutral flavored, so it's not going to add any kind of specific salt flavors. I'm going to add just by eye, like 1 or 2 tablespoons. Yeah, just trust me that it's 1 or 2 tablespoons. Okay. And I'm going to use another fork to whisk it all up. And we'll give it another whisk once we are about to put the sauce on the cauliflower, because it might separate a little bit while it's sitting here. All right, all set. So see, it's just to, homogeneous without any kind of drops of oil or anything. It smells really good. Okay, so next up, since we have plenty of time, by the way, if you have any questions, please just leave me a comment, okay? And I will I will answer to the best of my ability. Because I know sometimes, like when you make something all the time, you may, then you try to tell about it to somebody, then you may forget to mention some big details that for you it's like, obvious, but for somebody else, maybe not. So if you have any questions, just ask me in the live chat. So next up, we are going to make our sour cream. So I know a lot of people went to my site yesterday and printed out the recipe. And so you can follow along with me, but there'll be one thing they'll probably don't like, but maybe not. Okay, I'll show you. So I'm going to get all the ingredients. I got them on another table because this is, I don't know if you can see all my mess. There's plenty of it. My island isn't big enough to hold everything. So I'm just going to bring everything over and tell you what it is. Okay, and I got the spices over there, so that's fine. So what we're making it with, we're going to use vegan mayo for the base. It's Follow Your Heart is the brand that I usually go for. I buy these big jars and they last forever. It just, they're really good. I actually like this mayo better than back when I wasn't vegan. I used to eat regular sour cream. I mean, not sour cream, mayonnaise. And I used to live in Russia up until I was 21, and then I moved to the US. And in Russia, I liked the flavor of mayonnaise, but here I didn't like mayo at all, the store-bought ones. But then when I went vegan and tried this, it was actually quite good. Another brand I like is Just Mayo, but I think they discontinued because I haven't seen it in stores in years. It was really good, really, really good. Like you could eat it by the whole spoon. Not that I recommend it, but yeah, I think they do just egg now, something like that. Well, if it works, then better. Okay, so in the recipe on my site, you can follow along too. I got the link down below. Just open it and you can click jump to recipe. I'll take you there. So as of when I first made this recipe, I used mayo as a base for everything. But last time I did something different. Cue in my favorite friend, Forager. So, by the way, they're not sponsoring me. Maybe they should. So, I'm doing 2/3 cups of mayo and 1/3 cup of yogurt. And why I'm doing that is because, when you think of flavor of ranch, it's first thing is definitely oniony stuff. But then there's a little bit of tang. And I think yogurt really adds to it. You can, if you don't have unsweetened plain yogurt, fine. It's totally fine. You can just use the mayo, a whole cup instead of 2/3 cup and 1/3 of that, a whole cup of this. Yeah, and then we also will be adding white vinegar, this gigantic thing that I got. Yeah, just a little bit. It adds that acidity. And then to make it a little bit runnier, I'm adding just some, unsweetened. No, I guess that's not as unsweetened. Okay, well, the best if you use unsweetened almond milk or whatever plant milk you choose to use. I don't have it, but it will be fine. Original is a little bit sweet, but there's so much going on in here that you're not really gonna notice that it's too sweet. Okay, and then we got spices. We got a lot of stuff. It seems like a lot, but once you put it all on the counter and then once you just start adding, it goes quick. So we got some nutritional yeast, pepper, and salt. We got onion powder and garlic. Everything's so mishmashed, but whatever. And some herbs to make it extra oniony. We got chives. We got this parsley flake isn't going to make it oniony, but still. And dill weed. And then a little bit of ground mustard. This is also kind of optional, but I think it adds a little nice touch to it. So we're going to start with the big things first. I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way. Oh, by the way, I gotta change my notes. So, because when the recipe is long, it's kind of hard to remember the exact quantities of everything. Okay, so we are doing 2/3 cups of mayo. Let me switch the cameras again. 2/3 cups of mayo and 1/3 of yogurt. Okay. There we are. So this is half a cup. It's probably going to do another tablespoon. Yeah, this is roughly 2/3. And I'm going to use another spoon for the yogurt because I don't want to contaminate everything. It's fine. So I'm just going to not going to take this out and put yogurt in the same thing. I'm just going to top it here until we have 1 cup. It doesn't have to be like surgical precision, right? But okay. All right. This is 1 cup. Alrighty. Next up, we are going to dump it into a little dish. Just all of it. And at this point, it's kind of hard to tell which one is which, but it's fine. We're going to mix them up anyway. So we can either mix these up or we can leave them like this and dump in everything else and then mix it up. Either way will work out just fine. We got less than 3 minutes on our cauliflower, so that's good. Let's see if I can do it in 3 minutes. Okay, all right, so we got all this nice and good. And then we're gonna do the rest of our things. We got 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. I got this huge thing. I hope I'm not gonna like dump like a puddle of vinegar into my sauce, but let's see. 1 and 2. Okay. I can really smell the vinegary smell right now, but it's gonna taper. Honestly, it's not gonna be like in your face kind of strong. Then we got non-dairy milk. That what we'll do last. Okay, we got 4 tablespoons of non-dairy milk, but it's okay. We're not gonna do it right now. So we will go for nutritional yeast, just 1 teaspoon. That's not a lot. I know some folks don't like it. Some folks like me can eat it, by the spoonful. So if you don't like it, just skip it and it's fine. Most recipes that call for like a laundry list of ingredients and you want to make it and there's one that's missing, if it's like a spice or anything, you can still make it. Maybe it won't taste like 100% like it's intended, but it will be still pretty good. That's at least my philosophy. Okay, so we got this. We got 2 teaspoons granulated onion and 1 teaspoon of garlic. I think this is probably all the onion I got. Yeah. Alrighty, that's fine. And like half of this much of garlic, roughly. Good. Oh no, sorry. Parsley is falling. Okay, now we got half teaspoon of dill, parsley, and chives. So that's gonna be easy. We've got dill here, half a teaspoon. And I'm doing it by hand, but feel free obviously to use measuring tools as you should. I probably should too. I think this is easier. Half a teaspoon of parsley flakes and chives. I find that, the best ranch is like really oniony. At least I like it that way. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Ooh, guess what? Our cauliflower is ready. Well, let's go check it out. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take it out of the oven. Beautiful. Okay, so it's pretty much what I wanted. There's no puddle of anything, and I can definitely see that the pieces are all split up none of it is together. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna toss it, and then I'm gonna put it in for another 5 minutes or so. Where's my other spatula? There we go. Come on. Yeah, they like to stick, but honestly, if we didn't drain them on the cookie cooling sheet, there would have been much more. Oh, wow. By the way, I heard somebody ask a question about whether or not we can make this in an air fryer, and the answer is yes, of course. Yeah, it may, like if you have a standard air fryer with a basket, like you can't put all of it at once, obviously, but if you put just enough that they are not crowded on the bottom of the basket, but not like not all in a single layer. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, my brain isn't working very well today. Okay, so another 5 minutes, and I think they'll be just right. And then we will be coating them with the buffalo sauce. All right. So they are, as you may see. And we're gonna do, I should probably close it, right? That will work better. Okay, 5 minutes. Good. Cool. All right, back to our ranch. So we added all the goodies here. Now we got just the mustard. Mustard, we're only using a 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm just gonna make a little dash. Come on. I think I'm running low on it anyway. All right, that's fine. And then salt and pepper. So we might need to add more if it doesn't taste salty enough for us. I might add less. Okay, so I'm gonna mix it. And then I'm gonna get a fork actually, and we'll whisk it all up with a fork. So see, it kind of sort of looks like ranch is beginning to, right? All right, let's whisk it up. Okay. Okay, I should have probably used a bigger bowl, but I think it'll be fine. I'll be careful. Oh no. There we are. Oh, this is so good. So this is a good amount of ranch. It's obviously you're not going to eat all of it at once. But that's cool. It will last in the fridge for, I think the longest I've had in the fridge was probably a week or so. And it was fine. What happens is that it separates because we add, if you want it like thinner for like the dressing instead of the dip, then we add non-dairy milk. And so that keeps it thicker. That thins it out. But then if it sits in the fridge, it can separate, but it's no big deal. You just whisk it together again. Or if you're totally grossed out, you can just pour it out. Okay, so let's see. Nice plops. So here's the trick. Yeah, so we need a dip, right? We don't need a dressing. Although there isn't like a huge difference. But for dressing, yeah, we will add non-dairy milk. If we don't want a dressing, if we want to dip, we want to keep it thicker, no need to add anything additional. Now, let me try this a little bit and see. Oh, wow. That's like strong. Not in a bad sense, but I think it needs maybe a little bit more onion. We'll do a little bit more. chives. Okay, just a little bit here. Switch the cameras. A little bit more chives. And you know, it seems to me that we could have gone with less vinegar too. That's what I didn't think of actually, because if we're using yogurt is tart, right? And then if we put 2 tablespoons of vinegar on top of it, that will be too much. So lesson learned, if you're using sour yogurt, then start with like a 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and then you can go. It's always, you know, easier, better to add less and then have an opportunity to add more than other way around. Okay. So all these herbs that I added, they were dried, but as they sit here, even for a few minutes, they will like rehydrate and start adding even more flavor to it. All right, give it one more try. Yeah, I like it. It's very sour creamy. Okay, let's see. We got 30 seconds left on our wings. So I'll tell you what's gonna happen next. We are going to take all those cauliflower bits, put them in a big bowl, and put the buffalo sauce on top and gently flip together. And we'll put them back in for maybe 10 minutes or so. Okay, let's see. Okay, there we are. All right, I'm gonna get ready for that. Mm-hmm. Here we are. Good. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. That's good. So you can see that some bits of it started getting a little bit. This is a gross one. All right. See a little bit of that char. What really can you say? Yeah, I guess it is char. Yeah. So this is good. This means that it sounds dry, and that's what we want. We want them on the surface to be dry, because once we put the sauce on top, then they'll get wet again. And if we start with wet and add more wetness, it might be just a little too much. Anyway, I'm gonna get a big. Sorry about that. And put the ranch to the side. Bring my camera back. And here's our big bowl. Let's dump it all in. Let's see if I can maneuver all this in one wrist. Okay. Yay. This is even easier if you're using a baking sheet with no walls. Yeah, obviously, it'll just all slide off. Good. Great. Okay, set this aside. All right, so where's our buffalo sauce? Here it is. I'm gonna whisk it a little bit more. Okay, and just gonna pour all over. The recipe that I have on my site also says that it's nice to add some chopped parsley at this stage. And yeah, honestly, I like it, but I so happen to not have any. Even though I went to the store like 2 times just to get the ingredients for today's show. But, you know, it's fine. So let's imagine that there's parsley. Or if you don't like parsley or just don't feel like using it, it's fine too. Okay. I'm trying to do this gently so that not to break them too much. Yeah, okay. This is it. Quite nice. But if you break some accidentally, there's no big deal, honestly. Okay, so see, we got them nice and orange. Now we'll put them back on the same baking sheet. Dump them all out again. We'll use the same parchment paper. No, use another one. By the way, you can at this stage just go ahead and call it a day and not put them to bake anymore again. But I like to have some of that buffalo sauce baked in, so they're not too wet. And that's why I'm going to put them in again for, no, I think I'll just do maybe 5 minutes. Yeah, they'll be fine. 5 minutes. Good. You can see that they're nice and pretty. And we'll do 5 minutes on the time on the stove. Good. All right. Well, now I have everything I needed to do done and just a big mess on the table. But, it's fine. I'm just going to put it all in the sink real quick, if you don't mind. Okay. Sorry, that's not the funnest part, but it is what it is. Yeah. So while we're waiting, do you guys have any questions so far? And don't be shy. Honestly, I am probably more embarrassed right now than you could ever be with, just being out in the, on the live stream. What else can I tell you today? Yeah, there's been some things here and there. By the way, I'm saying by the way a lot today, don't I? Well, so a few weeks ago, I did this thing. It's unrelated to the recipe. I did this thing that is like a test for to see what kind of foods you're allergic to or have food sensitivities. Like around Christmas time, it was all over my Instagram. It was like ads, all the time. And so I decided to splurge and get it. And the reason for that is that even though I'm vegan and my digestion has improved so much more compared to when I was not vegan, I still have some discomfort in my guts, and I've done some tests, went to the doctors, and of course, everything's just fine. Nobody is finding anything. I'm not gluten intolerant. I'm not nothing of that like that. But there is something, and so that's why I decided to take this test. And this week I got the results back, and thankfully there isn't anything out of this world, terrible. But there were a few foods that it turns out that I'm allergic to. Some of them I use all the time. Not allergic. Sorry, it's have mild sensitivity. So the difference between sensitivity, food sensitivity, and food allergies, that allergy, you get it right away. You eat something, you get, if you're allergic to it, you feel it, get breaking hives or can't breathe or something. Hopefully, you don't have that. But sensitivity is you eat it and actually nothing's, you don't feel anything. But then 24 to 48 hours as it, goes through your body, and it reaches some parts of your guts that are sensitive to that stuff. Maybe you can feel some bloating or something. So it turns out I have some sensitivity to kelp, and I love, sea-derived things like kelp flakes or sushi. The nori sheets have some of it in there. But it's also kind of not surprising because I was born in Eastern Europe. There's no kelp there really, so that's probably why my body is a little bit off on it. Also, peas, green peas, I'm a little bit have some kind of reaction, and peppers, which was kind of a bummer because I do eat a lot of peppers. So and oats. Oats, I've eaten oatmeal for more days of more breakfast in my life than anything else. So it's fine. But I'll try to find the link to that test and put it in the comments so that you can check it out. And they have lots and lots of other tests too. Anyway, let's check. We got 40 seconds left on our wings. And I'm going to get a clean bowl. Wish I had an endless supply, but this is my last big clean bowl. All right, I'm going to set it down. And we're going to get ready for the big reveal. Moving the camera there. And let's get the thing right. Good. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Yay! Magic. Ooh, I can hear them sizzle. Nice. All right. So, if I had more time, if I felt like, making this thing into like 2-hour long show, if I was comfortable with it, I don't, because I know you have your stuff to do today. So I'm trying to wrap up soon. If I had more time, I would keep them in the oven probably another 5 to 10 minutes. That way they'll dry up even more. But even like this, they are fine. Like I said, like this whole step is optional. You don't even have to do this if you don't feel like it. All right. So I'm going to just dump them all in my big bowl. Same stuff. And it's going to be super hot to make a taste test, but it's fine. So I'm getting the courage to start making pre-recorded videos with recipes for my YouTube channel too. The same YouTube channel. This, like, once I get that all figured out, obviously you won't have to listen to boring parts about like my food sensitivities or anything like that. Okay, so neat. Where do I want to put this here? So that's here's our wings and my ranch. Let's do a taste test. Another fork. I'm going to pick a smaller piece because I'm sure they're like super hot, all of them. All right, so the big thing, I'm going to dip it in. It's kind of funny that there's vinegar in the hot sauce and there's vinegar in ranch, but it feels like ranch cools the heat of the hot sauce. But it's interesting how that works. All right, so I'm gonna eat it now. It's very good. Yeah. Yeah, so it's nice and tender inside because the cauliflower is cooked just right. It's not like overwhelmingly bready because the breading was so thin. And in the combination with ranch. I think it's just delightful. So this is it. This is how I make buffalo cauliflower. If you have any comments, even after the live stream wraps up, you can leave them under the video. This will be available as a replay right away. I might do a little bit of editing. I'll try to do like parts that you can, like chapters, like you can go to like chapter where I'm like whisking the sauce or whatever right away. Anyway, I'm very excited, guys, that we have now 2 episodes of this cooking show. It's it's great, I think. Thank you for coming and watching this all the way till now. If you started from the beginning, then wow, you're an MVP. If you just chimed in, it's thank you for being here. For people who are watching this as a replay also, thank you so much for coming and watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do this below and click that bell button so that you got notifications whenever. And if you're on my email list or if you follow me on Instagram, this Monday I will post 2 more email you or post on Instagram the choice for 2 recipes that you'd like me to make next Friday. I think it's going to be like towards Valentine's Day, so maybe it'll be something sweet. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, so thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.